Hey everyone, welcome back to Noni Plus. I am Stanley Kimefuna, and in today's video, we're going to learn an important concept in C Sharp programming language, which is called the type casting. So let us start with the big question: what is typecasting in C Sharp? Typecasting simply means changing one data type into another. In our previous video, we have learned what are data type and the categories of data type we have. We have the boolean, we have the character, we have the integer, we have the string, we have the decimal, we have the double. These are all data type. So think of it like pouring water into a bigger cup. That you are trying to transfer water from container or from a smaller cup to a bigger cup, or you are trying to break money into smaller coins. So, in the process of transferring that water from that smaller container to a bigger container, you see that the content does not change, but only the container that varies, or the forms that varies, or the size that varies. So the context did not change. You are trying to transfer one content from another container to another container. So that is what we call typecasting, changing from one data type into another, changing from integer to boolean, changing from integer to decimal, converting from decimal to integer, converting from decimal to boolean, converting from string to integer. So these are called type casting. So there are two main type of casting in C sharp we have. So we have the implicit casting and also we have the explicit casting. So I'm going to be breaking those two important types to you, and make sure you get yourself ready, because this what I'm going to explain to you, you're going to like it and you're going to understand what are typecasting and the different types of casting we can use in C sharp programming language. So the first one we have is the implicit casting. So these are also called safe casting. What I mean by safe casting means that it's easy for you to change from one data type to another using an implicit casting, because as you are changing from one data type to another, the content is not lost, or the data did not change. Like for instance, you're trying to change from a smaller type to a larger type. For example, you are converting an integer into a double. But before we go into it, let me break down those data type we have, the sizes they can occupy, and the ranges, so that you can understand how we're going to be transferring or converting from one data type to another. So just pay attention. I'm going to drop some codes here. Okay, I think we are fine. Okay, let me run it now so that I can see those data type we have. Okay, it's running. Wow, so very good. So let me increase my screen so I can see it very well. I believe you can see it, but hold on. I just want you all to understand how this works. Okay, I think I'll make it to 150. Okay, it's fine. And bring out the okay, beautiful. So this is what we have here on the screen. Okay, so you can see we have the integer, we have the boolean, we have the decimal, we have the double, and we have the character. So under integer we have 4 bytes. Under boolean we have 1 byte. Under decimal we have 16 bytes. Under double we have 8 bytes. Under character we have 2 bytes. So you can that each of them can contain. You can see for integer, the range you can contain values from -2147483 to 2147483 647. You can see the boolean, the values it can only contain is true or false. Then you can see the decimal that has 16 bytes. You can see the ranges from -79286 to 79. This is a lot of values that this thing can contain. Then you can see the double. can see the 8 bytes, the ranges. You can see minus 1.797693 to 1.79693. Then we have the character 2 bytes. So this ranges from, this one doesn't contain value, so it's kind of a character. So converting from a smaller type to a larger type. So from these values I just gave you, so you are trying to convert an integer to what? To a double, for instance. Integer is a smaller type, double is a bigger type because of the values it can contain. So if you're trying to convert this value, this data type to this data type, so you use what they call implicit casting. It's also called safe casting because no data is lost. For instance, you can see the values integer can contain. You are trying to convert this value. Okay, so that means you are taking these values from integer and putting it in a container that has double. So if you put in a container that has double, there will still be more space in the double container that can allocate more of the integer. So no content will be lost, no values will be lost. So it's what they call safe casting. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Let me close this. Let me okay. Let me comment this out first. We'll go back to the, but let me comment it first. Okay. Okay. Like for instance, let's declare an int number is equals to 10, and int number is equals to 10. Then we have double results is equals to number. Double results is equals to number. We have CW, that is console dot write line, is equals to results. So what you have just done here, or what we have done here, is we are trying to convert an integer into a double. So first of all, we declare a variable called number, integer variable called number. We assign a 10 to the number, that is to the container. Just like, let's assume that a number is a container. So we assign 10 to this container. So we have 10 mangoes in this container. So you're trying to convert those 10 mangoes into another container that is bigger than the integer container. So that's what we did in 243. So we have double and we have results. So we have declared another variable called double. Name of the variable is results. So it's and is equals to what? The number. So the number here on 243 is the number we declared on 242, which is 10. So you're trying to take 10 mangoes from the integer container and transfer it to the double container, with the name of the container is result. So when we print this thing, console.writeLine is equals to result. So to give us exactly 10, the answer is 10. So what you have done now is safe casting, implicit casting, because the values was not lost. 10 was still intact. The 10 mangoes was still intact because the double container is bigger than what? The integer container, according to what we have showed you before, the ranges. So this is what they call implicit casting. Let us not forget, this is what they call implicit casting. Very, very important. You have to take note of this. What we do here is implicit casting. We are converting from a smaller data type to what? A bigger data type. So this happens automatically in your code. No risk of losing data, and it's very, very easy. So then the next one is explicit casting. So this explicit casting is also called manual casting. So now instead of going from a smaller type to a larger type, instead of taking that mango, that 10 mangoes, that taking it from the smaller container to a bigger container. So what you are doing now, you are taking the mangoes from the larger container to a smaller container. So what do you think that will happen if you try to take 10 mangoes from a bigger container and put it in a smaller container? You will lose a lot of mangoes because that small container cannot contain those 10 mangoes. Very important. So let's try to get that. So let me give you some examples so that you're going to understand what I mean. Okay, so let me clear this. Okay, let me just leave it. Let me clear this. Okay, let me leave it. So we have, let's declare a double first. Double. Oh, sorry. Double price is equal to 9.75. And we declare an int will is equal to, in brackets, int prices. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what I just did now. Let me just finish writing the code CW. Then what I will be printing out is this name of this variable that I will declare, which is whole. So what we did here in 246, we brought a container and named the container price. And the category of that container is a double, but the name of the container is price. So we had, and we assign what they call values to the price, which is 9.75. So we declare another variable int. We brought another container called integer container, and the name of that container is a whole. Then we now assign, what we did there, we assign the value that was declared on 246, which is the price. So you can see in brackets integer, then the price. So what you are doing here in 247, we are trying to convert from a larger type to a smaller type. We're trying to convert from double to integer. And you all know that a double variable or a double data type, the ranges is bigger than that of an integer data type. Like I showed you earlier on, the ranges for integer and the ranges for double. You can see the bytes for double is about 16 bytes, and the bytes for integer is about 2 bytes or thereabouts. But you can see the ranges that this container can contain in double is bigger than the one the integer can contain. So we are trying to convert it now from bigger container to a smaller container. So what do you think will happen now? So you can see console or right line. Let's print it out so that you see the magic that will happen. So what do we have here? We have 9. Why do we have 9? Because integer cannot contain those values. So it's trying to print this price. It's trying to print this value, that is this value that is assigned to this whole, which is 9.75. But because it's an integer, some values will be lost. Okay, we are trying to convert this double to an integer. An integer cannot contain anything that is a point. Anything that has 0.75, integer cannot contain it. So you definitely pick the 9 and leave out the 0.75 because the container is very small to contain these values. The container is very small. So anything double, double is like a point, double 9.75, or integer is like a whole number. Integer can only contain whole number, integer. Please take note, integer can contain whole number, double can contain anything that has to do with decimal. So we are trying to print console and right line whole. So the result we got now was 9, which shows that some values were lost when I'm trying to convert from a larger data type to a smaller data type. So some values will be lost. I don't convert, so I don't take that 10 mangoes from the bigger container to a smaller container. So some values will be lost, some mangoes will be lost. So instead of giving you the right mangoes, 9, so print maybe 2 mangoes because that container is smaller than the container it was coming from. So, like for instance, just imagine that you have $9.7, and if you give it to a friend, your friend will take the whole amount, $9.75. But if you put that $9.7 in a vending machine that only accepts whole dollars, though you insert just $9 because the machine doesn't accept anything else to do with point 0.7 or 0.75. So you just accept just one number. So the 0.75 will be lost. That is exactly what happened in explicit casting. The extra part that doesn't fit is thrown away. So instead of risking mistake, you can use C sharp built-in method. So instead of using the explicit casting, you can use there are some built-in methods in C sharp that we can use to convert this data type from a bigger container to a smaller container without losing values. So this is explicit casting from 246 to 248. Then from 242 to 244 is an implicit casting. So here no values were lost, no values were lost. Safe casting because you are converting from a smaller container to a bigger container. Why for from 246 to 248, some values were lost because you are trying to convert from a bigger container to a smaller container. So let me show you the easiest and the safer way to do this conversion from a larger container, that is from a double to an integer or from a string to an integer. Very safe. So there are some beauty methods that we have in C sharp. We have convert to int 32. I'm going to show you here. And we have so many of them that we can use, some excellent beauty methods that we can use to convert this particular data type from larger data type to a smaller data type. So let's do it again and let's see. Okay, let me declare string age. Okay, let me put age input 25. Okay, and we say int age is equals to convert to int 32 age input. Then we do console.writeLine to print our result. What are we printing? We are printing the age. So this is a safer way for us to do convert from a larger data type to a smaller type. So what we are doing here from line 50 to line 52, if you're trying to convert a string to an integer, a string is bigger than an integer. So please let's take notes. Very, very important. So we use when working with user input. So this is very useful when you are working with user input because user often type text. Like for instance, when you are filling a form, they might ask you or when you're filling a form online, then I ask you your age. So you're going to type it, maybe you type like 32. So that 32 you type is in a string format. So if you are doing the code or if you are trying to convert that string to an integer, what you're going to do is you're going to use some built-in methods. And what are the built-in methods? We have this convert to integer 32. So we are converting this string age input to what? To this integer. So that's what we said here in 251. We assign, okay, let me start from 250. We assign the name of the container, age input, and the values assigned to that container is 25. Then in 251, we declare another int variable. The name of the variable is age, which is equals to, we are converting this age input into this integer. That's what we did here. So convert to int 32 in brackets age input, that is this 25. We are now converting it to what? To integer and assigning it to this variable, which is age. So line 252, we're now going to print it out, console.writeLine age. So let me print it out for you. Let's see. Okay, so you can see that the value that was printed is 25. Okay, so what I've just done so far is showing you how to do implicit casting, showing you how to do explicit casting, and also showing you the convert method we have. So implicit casting is automatic, is safe, and is when you're converting from a small container to a big container. You use implicit casting. Then for explicit casting is manual. Possible there is always a possible data loss. So you're trying to convert a bigger container, trying to convert a bigger to a smaller container. So there will be what they call possible data loss. which is not safe. Then we have also the last one, which is convert method. We have some inbuilt method in C# that we can use to convert from this from from this bigger container to a smaller container without losing any values. So these are the three typecastings we have. This first one, this one from line 254 to 246 is implicit casting. Then from line 248 to 250 is explicit casting. Then from 252 to 54, we use what they call convert to in32. That is one of the convert method and inbit method that we can use to do our casting. To do our casting. Yes. Okay. So okay guys, so on Noni Plus we keep learning concept like this. And also, I believe you must have understand how implicit casting works, how explicit casting works, and also how using one of the inbuilt methods to do our conversion. That's so that you can build real application with C Sharp. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not done that already, and also drop a comment below. Don't forget to be watching our previous video so that you can get along with these concepts in C Sharp. Which one makes more sense to you right now? Implicit casting, explicit casting, or using conversion method. I will see you in the next one.